All right, we're good to go. This works out well because my voice is totally shot, so I apologize for that, guys. We have a really small group here, so which is kind of cool because it gives us a chance to not have to talk on a sully basis, and let's just talk tech and have fun. Let's hopefully that goes over well. I want to take a couple seconds just to introduce my right hand guy here, Hassan. He's going to be helping us with our demo today. He's going to be showing some different things like that today. My name's Charles Delfs, and you guys probably already know we have a product called BetterForms, and I want to talk a little bit about web apps and where I think kind of the industry is moving to. We'll show you some new stuff that we've built into our product, and we're pretty excited about that, right? We also have our lead designer, Pearson, here, and he's going to be, I guess he's taking pictures, so he'll be taking the pictures, so make sure you get our best sides. One of the things we've done with BetterForms over the years, we started about 8 years ago, and we've consistently, I think pretty consistently grown quite a bit. In fact, when I first launched BetterForms, we never had we didn't even have an editor, right? It was just a framework, a piece of code that could dynamically render web apps. And we knew this was a problem, or at least I knew it was a problem, because as a developer, I used to do consulting, and we still do quite a bit of consulting in our engineering company. But the consulting we did, it was always like really hard stuff. And 10 years ago, web was really, really hard. Now web is getting easier and easier as we go. And we ended up building BetterForms. We never ended up, to be honest with you, we never ended up changing our name. So it's a terrible name for a great product, right? And people who know what we do, it's like they totally get it. But the people who don't understand really what the product is think it's about forms, and it's not. In fact, it's such a small aspect of the web, right? Most web applications are about rendering or surfacing information rather than ingesting it. I want to show you some of the stuff that we've built over the past year, and maybe we can start with any one of these apps, and I'll just kind of introduce them here. I think it's on the next 4 across. If you go, yeah, there you go. Perfect. Maybe we can stretch that out a little bit bigger. Beautiful. I will start off with a few different apps, and some of this stuff these are sort of apps that are built by our community, and we have gotten sort of approvals to demonstrate them. And this is by no means all of the apps or things I've built, but this is pretty cool. This is a kids' educational e-commerce site. They originally had this built in Shopify, but one of the problems with Shopify is it's super flexible, but when you want to do integration, say, to FileMaker, that's when it becomes really challenging. And they have this notion of all different kinds of complex sales deals. So for example, if you can just stay here for just a sec. So for example, with this particular product, there's some extra lengths of subscription length. There is promotions and things like that. So depending on who's logged in, I don't have access to some of this login stuff, but different promotional prices will show up here. So every user gets a different experience. And they sell to school district boards. So they can say, okay, the school from, say, Antwerp, so all the schools here will get 5%, but the ones from Brussels will get 10% or maybe 6%, I don't know, and so on. So by having that flexibility, that's all built into FileMaker. You can imagine it's just tables and such, that this has allowed them to solve that problem really quite well. What's neat is the whole thing, of course, is responsive. And if you could go back to or just maybe even add one of these items, just click on, see, and then you can add it to the cart. Or it looks like there might be some items already in the cart there. All right, and then actually just go up to the cart on the top. Yeah. So there you have a little side tray that opens up. And they have all of their items. You wouldn't know that this was a FileMaker app at the end of the day. And this sounds bad to say, but that's what you want. People shouldn't know what the technology underneath something is. They should just know about the experience. Let's jump to the next one if we could. Okay, this is kind of interesting. It's really hard to see the colors here because for some reason on the projector there's these little light grays and they don't show up. But this is a software as a service. We have quite a few people who have software as a service products that they sell, verticals. And this is just a booking app. He actually has an entire product called iClinician. And he's out of the UK. His name is Neil Manchester, really, really bright guy. it's funny. I was working with Neil one day, and he said, Neil, you're a pretty smart guy. Like, you really understand stuff. He goes, and I said some kind of a joke like, oh, you don't have to be a atomic scientist or a nuclear physicist or I think something like that. And he goes, well, actually, I am. Right? So, oh, he goes, yeah, I took a degree in that, but then I'm working on my wife's vertical here. So what it is, this is just a booking app, and it's unfortunate you can't see the colors, but just scroll up and down here a little bit, and then you select one of these types of things. For some reason, the highlights don't show up in the projector. Just click one of those, and then you click next. This is a multi-tenant single application, so single FileMaker database. But he has, dozens and dozens of these clinicians. He can change the entire theme. This is Karen Betts, and change the entire theme. They have multiple locations because many of these clinics have these different locations. So there's a whole bunch of layers of things here. And then just click one of those, yeah. And then, I don't know, Karen, I guess we may as well go for Karen. She's a bit more, but, our eyebrows will need it. And then, yeah, you can go to next, and then it goes off, and there might not be some times and things like that. This is just a demo, one of his demo sites that he's kind of given us. But basically, go through, and it's a whole little wizard for booking these things. The takeaway here is that one application is not only serving all of his clients, but it's serving his clients' clients, because they just dropped this widget onto their website, and now suddenly they have all this ability. And well, maybe we'll do one more. This one's really cool. So it's funny that the backgrounds don't come in quite well, but it's okay. So this is the University of Zurich, and Stefan Munger is a professor there, and he is the world's leading expert on Israeli coins, like artifacts and coins, like some ancient shekel or something like this, right? And he's like the guy. Right, and he teaches courses on this stuff, and I guess you can really study upon these coins. So he built this database, and he talks all over the world on it, and he's just presenting this. Yeah, you can jump into there, so and we'll hold it there for a second. He built this database for doing research on all of these items, and I find it a little hard to use because I don't know anything about the items, but I'll show you some of the really cool things, some really cool widgets and stuff that he's built in here. If you jump into like maybe object or something like that, and then you can go to pick one of those items, I don't know, class or something, pick scarab, whatever that is, yeah? And then you can go through and you can do all of this really, really deep type search. Don't go too many because we don't know if that exists. So maybe just go scarab and then try to do a find from that. And hopefully we can get some coins pulled up. I should have practiced this exact item. But what's kind of interesting, this is all powered by FileMaker, so it's going and doing some search of all these metrics or something like this. And you can also build up like these advanced queries, so you can build this multiple query builder. Something happened here. Don't search for scarabs. All right. And I wanted to show you because it's really cool. It shows the pictures of them, and then they can get all of these dimensions off, like how far to the dimensions on all the coins and stuff. Maybe try something else. I don't know. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's see if click on one of these. And I don't know if they all have images or not. Or I think that just hides the image, but yeah, just click on one. Did you click on it or what? Oh, there. Okay, you're zoomed in or something like that. All right, I'm trying to breeze over that one. It's a really, really cool database. I think we have some videos on it if you're interested, and we can pull it up later on. I don't want to use all of our time. Let's jump over to maybe, let's jump to Cinder Lighting, and maybe we'll have a quick look at that one. And this is the last one. And this is a rental company, I think they're in the States, and they rent lighting equipment. So what they've done is they've built this portal, so somebody can be on the go. I'm filming a commercial or a video, and I can pull up the same site. The whole thing is responsive. The UX was designed by Pearson here, and I can go and I can say, okay, I need some lights, and I need a couple holders and some boom extenders and things like this, and I can build up this entire application. And I think this is an entire directory of all of their products. So they can select, a couple items in here. Maybe you can whip up a quick order, and we'll something like. right? And they can submit the quotes. So these guys can do this stuff on the fly. Again, 100% powered by FileMaker, right? There's no intermediate database. There's no like Mongo or MySQL or anything like that in the way. This is just pure FileMaker powered in real time, right? And then I guess you go through, and Hassan, you built this actually, or you helped them build it. What else can you do here?
So right now it's in process right now, and they're reviewing on their side, and then I'll show you what it would look like after they're done reviewing it a little bit, or when it's a bit further down. Oh, yeah. So I'll show you guys what a final order would kind of look like over here. Once they've fully processed everything and they've put in their payments, this is kind of where it can look like over here. And then they're still in the phase where they can adjust any quantity they'd want to over here. And what's neat about this app is before they used to have to call in and phone to order everything, but now they can just hop on the app and place their order. And one thing here is, since they're using the phone before as well, they can continue using their phone. Oh, I opened up the wrong console. Yeah, they can continue using their phone, and I'll just show how this is fully mobile responsive as well. So they can just seamlessly hop on their mobile device, and instead of having to place a phone call, they can just go over here and place their order and edit anything they want to. They can view all their details over here as well, see all their pricing. Yeah, it was a neat thing for being fully mobile responsive app as well.
Cool. Any questions about any of those apps so far? All right, we'll jump to, I want to show you some of the new things that we've been working on and why we've been working on them. And I believe the first one we're going to work on is Figma. So how many people use Figma, the design software? Right, so just a few people. We could have asked this maybe a year or two ago, and we'd hardly see any hands. And I think next year or 2 years from now, you're going to see more and more hands. Figma is a tool, and this is Figma here. This is a Figma, the desktop version, so this is like the installed version. And this is a brand new plugin, and I'll talk about that in a second. But Figma is a tool that's used to basically build UX, primarily for web and mobile applications and things like that. And every designer is pretty much using it. It's like, I think it's probably like 90 to 1 now is what they're all using. We just introduced which is in beta, is a plugin. And this is our plugin right now. It's actually in dev mode, but normally that's because we're just demonstrating in our development environment. But if you can go to the preview tab there and just stay on that, you're already there. Right, so here we have a interface, and this interface was actually designed by, this is actually our Figma account, and Pearson has built this. And he's got this little chat window. And we want to build this chat window, so we want to build this in BetterForms, but we want to have the full control. So if you double click there, and you can kind of drill in, just stay right there, perfect. So what happens is when you select an element on the left, our plugin will render this element, and then if you say send to BetterForms, there we go, and then you can jump over to BetterForms there, and you see down here, the Figma it's being converted. And if you jump over to our new Figma tab here, you'll see that here is our component right here, right? And it's being converted right now. I thought we had some previous ones, but we'll let that go, and we'll let that actually convert for a few seconds there, and we'll come back to that. It'll alert us when we're done. One of the ideas here is we want to make building faster, but we don't want you to build garbage, right? We really want to build stuff that we can preview. And if you've seen some of the phenomenal things, like Jeroen here is in the audience, we have some videos of some of the stuff that he's built, and it's like we're all like, holy cow, you see what he built this time? Like that's what happens in our internal meetings. Like some really nice applications. So by having that Figma plugin now, it means you can get to production really quick now, right? By taking all these components and building them out. The second thing I want everybody's reading my message. I'm reading it too now. All right. The second thing I want to talk about is components. Yes, thank you. This is why, right? So components is something that we don't really have in FileMaker. And I saw they're kind of trying to get this concept of being able to reuse things, in at least with Clara Studio. But we've always had the ability to do some sharing in BetterForms, but components are something that we're introducing. So we started off, and we just launched this a week ago, and it's a component gallery. We're going to start off in launching this in 3 phases, right? Our first phase is going to be company-sponsored, or ones that we've seeded the community with, some components, some examples on how to build these things. What are they? They're pieces of code that you can reuse, and don't not only that you reuse it, but if I make my component look a certain way, and then I decide I want to change it a little bit. I want to make it go, this way or something like that, or change the color of this thing. I change it in one spot, and it changes it everywhere in my app. So by doing that, it allows us a couple things. It allows us to abstract design, so that means you can reuse design all over your application. That's really, really powerful. The second thing is, it allows you, as a developer, to have really good access to deep technology, which you may not really understand or know something about or care to know about. So I'm going to demonstrate a few components. We're going to add in some components into our, right now we currently have, we already have a few components. We have an Apex chart multi here that's already been added. And we're going to add a couple other things. We're going to add a QR code, and we're going to add, oh, there it is, right? A copy button. Let's pause for a quick sec. Let's jump back over to the Figma one because I just heard it finish up. I think that's what I heard. Let's see if that's done. There it is there. And we can drag that header now. And kaboom. There is, it kind of looks a little off for some reason on this monitor with the way it's converting, but there is our header that was designed by Pearson, perfectly rendered. And what's really cool is these are all separate components. So if you wanted to change something here, like just maybe rearrange or duplicate something or what have you, right? It's all drag and drop still, right? So one of the main things that we're really trying to move towards in BetterForms now is to give users access to the deep technology, but at the same time, you're not losing control. And one of the things, I do a lot of AI coding, a lot of vibe coding, and I'm constantly pushing all technologies. And the biggest thing I find I run into is I run into loss of control. That means I start doing something and it's like, I can't fix this. And now it's written in a language, let's say TypeScript or React, for example. And if you don't know anything about that and the AI can't fix it, well, this is recorded, so I won't say what you are, but you're kind of messed up, right? You're in a really bad position. But here now, you still have access to everything. Under the hood, this is all HTML, or this is all BetterForms schema. One of the things the plugin even did is it even brought in the SVG that came out of Figma as well. If you Command H that, or Command H there, you can see there's an actual under the hood. There's an actual SVG there. Right? But we don't need to touch that. But if we can, we're able to, right? And that was all brought in from Figma. Same thing, it used all these font awesome icons. And Figma has this thing called the attributes, or what are they, when you have like a hover and the switches, right? All those attributes there. It'll bring all of those in. So if your designer designs a hover color, if they design a disabled state and all of these kinds of things, that'll all come across. Those are things that we don't normally think about in FileMaker. We don't really have sometimes a hover color, but we don't have things like disabled. We usually don't have empty states or anything like that either. All right, let's jump back over to our components. Let's continue there. All right, so Pearson's added these components, and these particular ones are from a third-party library, right? We're not, as a company, we don't want to invent everything. We just want to give you basic tools. So by giving you access to things like, in this case, WebAwesome, which is a new library, we're giving the developer the ability to create these components based on that library. So these components here, or this one, for example, we can actually go and implement them now. So we've just added them into our app. And yeah. And I'll go on that. Yeah, one of those pages there. Perfect. All right, so we've just added them into our app now. And this is just a blank page, I think. There we go. And we can take some of our components now and we can start to use them. So here's the chart. All right, now, what just happened there is we took a third-party component which has a repository. BetterForms has grabbed that, it's loaded up into this app dynamically, and it's initialized the component with some demo data. Now we can go through, and to charts are a little bit more complex, but let's try another one. Let's do something else. So this one's it looks like it's really boring. Okay, it's a copy icon, right? But you've seen this. If you could preview it. And what's really cool about this, if you ever had to build one of these things, it's really a lot of work. But check this out, right? It's already got a thing, and you click it, and it does a little animation, right? Somebody else wrote that. They spent their life or their first marriage or something, and they've done all of that stuff. We don't have to, right? And that's the cool thing about components. They can be anything. They can be your own code. They can be anybody else's code. Super easy to implement. Same as that Apex chart. You could say, well, if I don't want a bar graph, the AI can just change that into a pie or any other type of chart because it's the whole library. Here's another example. Here, there's a QR code. Again, to do this in the past, you have to find that's a certain person's library. You have to initialize the JavaScript for the library. That's already built in the component. So we're releasing components in 3 phases. The first one is company-sponsored ones, or ones we've created, excuse me. The second phase will be sharing amongst your own organization. And then the third phase, which will be in 2 months from now, will be the ability to take the components, submit them to the community, and then everybody can share them. Right? We have a really, really good community. We've got about 500 people or so on our Slack, right? Lots of peer support. And anybody who's there, you guys know that too. And then the team is always on there as well. So as we get these ideas for components, we'll just whip them up really quick and make them available, or the community will as well. So that's components. Any questions on that? All right. And I think, we can go off on to the next thing here. One of the cool things about components is you have to sort of think about designing for the future when you're building these things. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to hard code all the values. Everything has to be abstracted out, and all the settings, like a pie chart, for example, is where do you get your data from? What are the colors? What are the labels? How do you want to do that so you never have to change your component? You can just configure it. Or that little checkbox. Do I want to hard code a URL in the checkbox, or this QR code? But here, this QR code has a fixed value, right? But we can just as easily point that to some dynamic value, some field in FileMaker, for example. So it also has a few other settings like the error code, the fill color, and the radius and things like that. So we've also, and I'm going to get to this in a second, but our new AI can actually create the components. You actually say, here's the web page. Here's the URL for the web page, create a component, and it'll get you about 95% of the way there. You might have to add an extra prompt or two to say, I need access to this value or something like that. But it'll start to build them up with best practices. All right, and that brings us to our last thing here, our last major new feature, and that's our latest version of our AI. To be quite frank, I made some mistakes in the sense of releasing things. Like you guys, we get stuck. We love technology, right? In fact, I love it so much that we just want to bury ourselves in it sometimes. And from a business aspect, from a development of your software, sometimes it's really good to ship things too, not just to have the fun stuff. So one of the things is we 3 years ago, if you've seen any of our talks, 3 years ago, we actually had prompting and the ability to do stuff that you're seeing in all the other apps. We were well ahead of the game. And then over the course of about the next 2 years, we continued to work on AI, but we didn't implement it as much in our product because our product was sort of really ahead at the time. And then it sort of I wouldn't say fell backwards, but everybody else caught up and they added new features. So now we've been shipping a lot more. So our newest version of our AI assistant, and this will be in production in 1 week's time. All the framework is there. We just got to turn it on now. And what it does is a lot more agentic. So Hassan, can you go back to that prompt for just a second?
Yes, I have the prompt right here.
Yeah, perfect. So it says, I'm going to engage. Here's a website. We don't explicitly say to go check the website, but we can if we want. And we want to create a dashboard so the users can see speakers count, current sessions running, use separate elements, create dev data, cool Chrome UI. It already has a little bit of UI on this page, so it might not do that as much. And and an optional dark mode and make it mobile friendly. So let's go for that. So in the past, our AI would basically, you'd create separate chunks out of this. Now we can sort of do it all in one prompt. As soon as FileMaker releases MCP for developers, right, not just for accessing the data, we can create all that entire back end, right? And so it's going to go through, it's checking some different things. It's weird how the whole backgrounds are missing. Adding development separate data, so it's adding some stuff in, adding dashboard metrics and cards. And it'll go through and you can see it starting to, can you zoom out a little bit? It looks like something's a little bit, we really did do this a whole bunch of times just in the last hour with that same prompt. And now it looks a little bit. All right. Try it again. I don't mind because I know you guys appreciate that sometimes stuff happens, right? I'm not sure there, but yeah, we're looking good there. Actually, if you make the page body full height as well, that'll probably be. All right, just give it and height screen, or you can tell the AI to do it too, but yeah. All right, just go for it, yeah. So anyhow, a couple little glitches, but I'm okay with that. One of the biggest things is now the AI has access to do everything within the app. In the past, the AI could be used to write HTML, it could be used to write JavaScript separately, and it could be used to basically do a bit of basic troubleshooting. But now it has the ability to do anything within the app. So that means it can create components, it can access the components, it can create CSS if you need to for any reason. And it can also create development data as well. And if you actually go over to the development data tab there, we should see some. So it started to create this data here for the dashboards and the visitors. And these are just some metrics. And let's see if there we go. Right, so now I've created this, and yeah, you go for it, let's see it. Right, and there's my dark mode as well. All right, let's check if it's responsive. And there we are. There's something wrong with the background colors. For some reason, all the light colors are getting blown out here, so sorry about that. But you can see there is borders and things like that there. It's added a keynote. Let's, we don't really have too many attendees, or we don't really have too much other data there, so we can sort of vibe off of this, and you can start to build this in a bigger fashion, you know, add lists of speakers, tell it to go scrape a website, or more importantly, excuse me, more importantly, grab your FileMaker data. So those are our main three features: components, improved AI, although this was mediocre, but it actually is quite good, I do promise you. And finally, Figma plugin. Any questions about anything there so far, or how BetterForms works?
So you're saying Figma is like our own personal Pearson?
No. Just like this marker doesn't make me Bob Ross. And it's very true, right? But AI gets you a little bit towards UX. It does follow some generally accepted good practices. You can get UX designers that freelance, and you can you say, hey, this is my design, this is what I'm trying to build, and they can build you up something, right? And they'll generally have one consistent vision. You know how, like Steve Jobs always said, I need one vision to build a product, like it's Johnny Ives or whatever for the iPad, the music thingy, and so on. And it's the same thing. I think you have to have sort of one vision, and that might be Pearson. He's available. Or it might be somebody else, right? And I think that's really important. Let's see how we're doing here.
You've not really mentioned about actually connecting to FileMaker right at this moment.
I haven't done anything there,
yeah.
Right? And the reason I didn't do that is because all the FileMaker stuff in BetterForms, and maybe we could have shown this a little bit more. Can I hop in there? Do we got an extra few? How are we doing for time? Time's up. Okay. Oh, this is cool. Yeah, see, there we go. So he just added, this is some additional data. Let me just show you, sorry. In that case, I'll take about 30 seconds more. So all of this data, doesn't matter what it looks like. Did you just scrape that from the site?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Hold it right here to scrape and add a list of speakers with the table below. So just scrape the site, filled it into the data model, and built everything accordingly.
Cool. This data, can we look at the data again, just for a quick second? This is normally you produce this in FileMaker, right? We introduced something called the BF Academy, which is just a set of starter videos. And we talk about how to generate data efficiently in FileMaker. And it's really, really easy. Everything we're doing in FileMaker is literally 2 and 3 lines. And that sounds like an exaggeration, but for like just to generate that page. And these are just some lessons. You can click on any one of them or something like that. This is something we just introduced. Just a couple, yeah, a big triangle over my mouth. Most people want a square. Yeah. But this has been really, really helpful. Hassan and the team have been working steadily on adding new videos and bringing extra videos out to the academy as well. But the FileMaker side is actually really easy. It sounds like it's complex, but it's not. It's stuff you guys know already. It's perform, find, set field. That's it, right? That's really to simplify it. I want to mention one thing. Sorry? The create JSON, use a function. You just use a function. You do that once, you copy paste it, you're done. You never touch it again, right? Can you go back over to the website into the promos page there? We'll get the. And just a quick thing here. We do have a promotion on for the EngageU. It's /promos, I think, or /promo. I don't think there's a link from this page. URL /promo. We do have some promotions on that are for this conference only. And basically we have our licensing works. We have a citizen development plan, $345 a year. It's what, $30 a month roughly. We're located out of Canada, but this is US pricing. And that is enough there to build most apps, right? It's about 15 pages of apps. That's how we meter building or monetize. Then we have an unlimited account, which is basically for $8.95, build anything you want. And it's just for a single app, right? So that one ends up being a little bit more, but it's still pretty reasonable for some of the size apps that run on that platform. We do have a vertical or a license, a separate license if you are building software as a service. It's a little bit more. You can build a little bit more with it though as well at the same time. So those are some great promotions. I just want to take a quick second and thank Hassan there again and Pearson for the pictures and the shout out, the call out from Stephen back there. Come down to our booth. If you have questions, technical questions, you can see Hassan and myself. If you have questions on UX, bring your FileMaker stuff, whip it open at the desk there, and we're happy to comment. Well, he's happy to comment on it. You don't want to hear my comments, right? And finally, if you have questions on billing or licensing, Madalena from our accounting department is here as well. She can help you out in all of that. Okay? All right, guys, thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, and one quick thing, if anyone wants to book any demos or check anything out, this QR code that we just added in, I'm just going to fix it with the value, and you guys can just scan it and see more information about BetterForms. So, for example, I'll just copy this. I'll just quickly live build out the QR code. Which one was it in right here? Paste that in. And yeah, you guys can now scan this, and that'll lead you to a directory. You guys can book a demo if you'd like, or see more demo apps, and check out BetterForms. Oh yeah, let me zoom in. Yeah, that should be working. All right, thank you, everybody.